Previously on Jonna. Brynn taught her magic only through theory, never through practice. Years spent hiding inside libraries left Jonna with knowledge far greater than confidence, until everything she suppressed finally erupted in lightning. Now she arrives in Osbrook carrying fear into every step. Her first contract, a bandit fort outside town, forces her into real combat for the first time, and reality feels nothing like controlled academy lessons. Every spell comes with hesitation. The moment enemies get too close, her thoughts begin to fracture under pressure. Mana drains faster when fear takes over. Instinct fights against years of restraint, and every surge of lightning feels less like control and more like something escaping. But beneath the anxiety, something dangerous is beginning to surface. Not mastery, not confidence, only the realization that her power was always real. And for the first time, no one is suppressing it anymore. After completing her first contract in Osbrook, Jonna now prepares for something far less human. Her next task, assigned by Aldor, leads her toward an old crypt where the dead no longer remain at rest. Bandits were one thing, predictable, mortal. But corpses that continue moving after death belong to a different kind of fear entirely. Jonna has never faced creatures like these before. So today, she enters carrying only fragments of experience gathered from her first real battles, and a mind still struggling against itself. Her confidence has barely changed. Every step still carries hesitation. But beneath that fear, something else is slowly taking shape. Instinct. Not mastery yet, something rougher, more human. For the first time, her reactions in battle are beginning to move faster than the doubt buried inside her. And maybe there is more within Jonna than theory, fear, and lightning.
The dead rarely wander alone for long. And unlike desperate bandits driven by fear or pain, these creatures advance slowly, relentlessly, without hesitation. They do not need skill to become dangerous, only time. That becomes the true problem. Individually, they are not explosive opponents, not fast, not clever, but they are difficult to put down completely. And for someone like Jonna, every prolonged fight carries a cost far more dangerous than wounds alone. Mana exhaustion, mental fatigue, panic building little by little beneath concentration. The longer combat drags on, the more her control begins to erode.
Jonna had managed to survive so far, but every fight still revealed the same thing beneath her movements: fear. Not fear of death alone, but fear of doing something wrong. Fear of losing control. Fear of proving every cruel voice from Brynn correct. Even when her spells worked, they rarely felt intentional to her. More like instinct dragging her forward before panic could pull her apart. And somehow, that instinct had been enough. For now. Because deeper inside the crypt, a prolonged battle awaited her. One that would strip away any illusion that survival and control were the same thing. The undead would keep coming. Her mana would continue falling. And exhaustion would slowly turn hesitation into pain. Not glorious pain, not heroic struggle, something uglier. The kind of fight that leaves the body trembling long after it ends. The kind that forces someone to confront how unprepared they truly are. Jonna managed to endure. The battle she faced inside the crypt was far from simple, and her lack of real experience quickly began to show in ways no academy text had ever warned her about. Not every wound came from the undead. Some came from the magic itself. Casting lightning without pause slowly disrupted the natural flow of energy through her body. Even with the talent to summon storm after storm, power alone could not protect her from consequence. Her muscles burned. Her breathing became uneven. The electricity running through her hands started feeling unstable, almost painful.
For the first time, Jonna began understanding that electromancy was not just about producing power. It was about enduring it. And somehow, that realization did not frighten her as much as before. Because after surviving that fight, something else had quietly changed. The trembling in her hands had faded. No voices interrupted every mistake. No one was there to tell her what she supposedly could not do.
Only experience, only consequence. And little by little, Jonna begins to feel something unfamiliar growing beneath the exhaustion. Freedom. The more she survives real situations, the more impossible it becomes to believe the limitations Brynn forced onto her for years.
The contract was finished, the reward collected. But before leaving the roads around Osbrook, Jonna heard about a transport carriage ambushed nearby. Supplies stolen. Innocent people left dead on the roadside. And this time she chose to act on her own. No contract, no promised payment. Only the feeling that some things should not be ignored. Part of it was experience. Every real encounter was shaping instincts the Academy never taught her. But another part was personal. Jonna understood stealing to survive. Hunger could drive people into terrible choices. But cruelty born from greed was something else entirely. People abusing others simply because they could reminded her too much of Brynn, of those who hid arrogance and violence behind authority and status. To her, corruption always ended up looking the same. And maybe that is why she now turns toward the ambush site. Not to be a hero, but because she is tired of watching people like that go unchallenged. The matter was settled. Jonna dealt with the bandits and recovered what remained from the ruined transport carriage. Most mercenaries would have simply taken what they could and moved on. But Jonna carried the supplies back toward Osbrook with the intention of returning everything to those it belonged to. Too much had been taken from her throughout her life for her to ignore that kind of loss in others. And maybe that is why she could not leave the stolen goods behind so easily. Simply because she did not want anyone else to carry that same bitterness if she could prevent it. What belonged to others was finally returned to its rightful place. And for the first time since arriving in Osbrook, Jonna felt something close to peace. Not comfort, but a quiet satisfaction in seeing the kind of person she was slowly becoming through her own choices. But rest never lasts long on the roads of Aldor. Another contract now waits for her.
this time against the Proselytes, warriors twisted by blood rituals and vampiric practices, fighters capable of amplifying their strength through suffering itself. Their regeneration and recovery from wounds go far beyond anything Jonna has ever witnessed, which means this encounter will once again force her into the unknown. Another enemy she does not understand. Another fear she cannot predict through theory alone. And yet, she keeps moving forward. Maybe not with confidence, maybe not without fear, but with something else beginning to harden inside her. Tenacity. The desperate need to become the person she was never allowed.
They tried to surprise Jonna on the road, a small ambush. Two bandits expecting fear and hesitation. Maybe before that would have been enough. But this time, Jonna managed to repel the attack and survive long enough to realize something important. Experience was beginning to shape her instincts. Not perfectly, not without fear, but the panic no longer controlled every movement. During the fight, she also learned a new seal, another piece of theory finally becoming practical knowledge. It almost felt as if fate itself kept placing small trials before her, preparing her for something greater. Because now the road ends at the corrupted church, and inside those ruined walls, no one but Jonna will face the blood-enhanced warriors waiting there. Pilgrim's Rest. Just stepping inside the dungeon was enough to make the air feel heavier. The silence, the ruined walls, the presence hidden beneath the church. Everything about the place carried fear, and the first encounter only intensified it. But strangely, Jonna was beginning to function better inside that fear.
Not because she had become fearless, maybe because she was finally starting to understand that her deepest fear was never truly death. It was humiliation, failure, the voice of her past still living inside her mind. And far away from Brynn, with no one left to judge her every mistake, that fear was slowly losing its control over her.
But now, with or without fear, Jonna was about to face something truly dangerous. The leader of the Proselytes and the warriors surrounding him. A real trial. One that exposed everything she still lacked. More powerful spells, better control, experience against enemies like these. And for someone whose instincts were only beginning to form, that made every second inside the church feel lethal. But Jonna keeps moving forward anyway. Because at this point, survival is no longer only about contracts. It is becoming proof that her past was wrong about her. Our mage is taking enormous steps today. Something inside Jonna's mind is finally beginning to loosen. A little more confidence. A little more of her own personality returning beneath years of suppression. And perhaps most importantly, she is starting to like the person she is becoming. Not many people could endure everything she survived and still continue forward. The fear, the humiliation, the constant pressure to feel small, it would have broken most. Yet Jonna keeps moving, partly because of her rare talent with magic. But more surprising than her spells is the endurance of her mind itself. Even wounded, exhausted, and frightened, she continues adapting instead of collapsing.
And maybe that resilience will become the true key to the future she wants. Not simply becoming powerful, but finally becoming herself.
It seems Jonna has completed every major contract in Osbrook, a remarkable achievement for our mage. Though in truth, this is only the beginning of her story. Harder contracts will come, more dangerous enemies, and with every new challenge, she will have to reinvent herself again and again to survive the life now unfolding before her. But for today, Jonna deserves something she rarely had in her past: support. So if you wish to help her journey, leave a like and stay by her side as she keeps moving forward. Because what she needs most is not perfection. If she fails, she does not need humiliation or cruelty. Only the chance to learn, adapt, and hear someone say, "You'll do better next time." And maybe, little by little, that is how Jonna will finally build a new life for herself. One without prejudice, without fear, without the weight of cruel people deciding who she is allowed to become.
Thank you for watching and supporting this kind of story-driven journey. We'll see you in the next chapter, and don't miss the next steps Jonna takes across the harsh world of Aldor, because her story is only beginning.